Hello everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. I'm Steve and today I'm going to do an overview on this wireless router. This is the Buffalo AirStation WMR-300. So now taking a look at the front of the box, of course the AirStation WMR-300 is an N300 wireless router. It has a 2.4 gigahertz wireless radio, but more importantly I just want to show you some of the key features of this particular product. Basically you're going to have this to take with you on the go when you're out and about in different cities, going to different hotels, if you're a businessman that needs to travel a lot, or if you're a gamer that goes to a lot of events. Essentially, if you don't have wireless in the hotel room, but you do have a LAN connection, an Ethernet connection, then you could essentially plug this in and give your room wireless connectivity up to 300 megabits per second, and essentially need this in order to connect your tablets or your smartphones to the internet to give it a little bit more bandwidth than the standard 3G or 4G or 4G LTE connection it would normally come with. It does get powered by a USB bus, so you could plug that in. Essentially, we'll open up the box and see if there's actually an adapter with it or not, and look into that further. Let me flip to the back of the box, show you a couple more things. Of course, you notice it was really small, fits in your pocket. It is 802.11n, also B and G connectivity. Like I mentioned before, the bus powered for ultimate portability. It also has WPS and also AOSS, which is essentially Buffalo's version of WPS. That's AirStation One Touch Secure System. Also notice that they do have this break-proof latch here, so that if you were worried about breaking these constantly, at least this particular one's not going to break on you. Let's go ahead and open up the box and take a closer look. And here's everything that comes inside that box. First, I'll start off with some of the paperwork here. We do have a quick setup guide, and I'll open that up just so you can get a better idea of what they've done to help you. Here's all the installation information and the standard connection information that you'll need, as well as all the power connection information here on what you're going to need to give it power, which is just a USB plug to give it power. I'll show you that in just a moment. You can plug it into, of course, a computer or a laptop in order to give it power, or one of the AC to USB adapters. Now, it doesn't come in the box, but that's okay because I typically have several of these in a drawer, so I'm sure you do as well. Let's go ahead and flip this around to the back and show you the rest of it. Bottom line is, that's your installation guide. So moving right along, we do have some FCC information, just letting you know basically how you can reorientate or reallocate the receiving antenna in order to give you a little bit better connection, and a little bit of a warning here from the FCC about radiation. Moving along, I do have the warranty information, and that moves us to the main event, which is the router itself. Now the Wi-Fi on the go router is very small. Full size, the full dimensions of this particular device are 2.28 by 2.28 inches by 0.79 thickness. Now that doesn't include the compartment here that's attached at the bottom, so I will detach that just so you get an idea. It's actually only this big. So I'll just talk a little bit about it. First off, we at the top here, we have two LED lights. One is letting you know you have internet connectivity. The other is for power. We also have the WPS button, but this is basically Buffalo's version, so it's the AOSS button. And that particular device is that actually gives you AirStation One Touch Secure System, which other Buffalo AOSS compatible devices can get connected to simply by pressing this button on both devices. I'll move that to the top now to show you the USB that's actually flush connected inside of it. Remove that just so you can get a look at what it actually looks like here. Just a standard USB plug, and you will be able to use that to give this device power. It looks like it won't get power over the Ethernet though, just so you know. Speaking of the Ethernet cable, here's the port here right on the back of it. That is a 10100 port that gives you, of course, 10 or 100 megabits per second connection in that RJ45 socket. And next to that, you do have a reset button, which I have held upside down so you couldn't quite read it. And that reset button obviously resets a router just the way you anticipate it should. And you could just reconnect it back into the holding station or the holding compartment for the Ethernet cable that comes inside of it. And I'll just remove that so you can get an idea. It's just a simple empty compartment here with a hole in the bottom. Now, just to show you this particular cable, it's fairly short, but kind of the bonus of this particular cable is the fact that these are pretty much unbreakable, or so they say. I'm sure if you tried really hard you could break them. But they seem really sturdy, and if they started to get a little bit weak, you could just bend it back up again and give it that firmness that you need to click in and hold this in place. And just on the back of this particular router, we do see the username and password that it starts out with default, as well as the SSID and the key you'd need to connect to it, and the IP address. One more thing to mention too, and this particular router is very small, obviously, and although you could use it as a businesswoman or businessman in a hotel to give yourself wireless access for your iPhone or your iPad or any kind of tablet in general that doesn't have an Ethernet plug, you would also be able to use this to perhaps fill a hole in your wireless network at the house. Let's say there's just that corner or that one room you just can't quite get wireless to fit to or can't extend to, and you don't want to spend a lot of money. You could basically purchase this and have an inexpensive solution for that particular problem. You just have to run a cable to that particular room and plug it into a switch, or just run that cable to here and use maybe a coupler to plug this into. Bottom line is you could use this to fill a small wireless hole that you might have in your wireless network at the house. Okay everyone, that wraps up this overview of Buffalo's AirStation WMR-300 wireless router. If you liked what you saw today, go ahead and click that like button. If you haven't already done so, click subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.